An interview with one of the two college students who knocked down and tried to steal one of Rochester's Frederick Douglass statues. This was a year and a half ago. John Bodeker has learned a lot since then, partly through a program designed to teach them about Douglass and race relations. The two recently offered to help after they saw another statue was recently toppled. I talked with Bodeker tonight about that outreach and the experience that led up to it. Why don't you walk me through that night, what happened?
It was the end of that junior year semester, the semester after I had that one internship, and just like had just finished my last test, and we went out to have a night of celebration, and it just, you know, we got caught up in whatever, you know, having fun mentality it was, and it was, we ended up taking a different route home than we usually did, and ended up around the statue. It was one of those things where, you know, the thought of like having something cool in our house was like literally the sad but true thing that was going through our head. It was the biggest wake-up call for us as to like how intent versus impact, like when you do something, people could perceive it so much differently than you were ever planning it.
After this happened, you went through that program, you had this intense discussion with community leaders. What was one of the more poignant lessons that you walked away from that with?
The fact that they agreed to come and they wanted to be there just as much as we did was really the part that, like, reflecting on it and stuff over time just settled in the most as, like, you know, I think this is doing good after all, and it started to just pile up as a snowball effect from there.
As part of the process, you learned a lot about Frederick Douglass. You wrote an op-ed. What about him impresses you now?
He had a tough part in his life where he probably saw that the life that he would have hoped for himself, he knew he wasn't going to see in his lifetime. You know what I mean? Because of how society was back then. It was just not as aware of things now as they are now. I would describe as just like the most hope of anybody, you know, and it really pushed him through his whole life. That man does not deserve an ounce of disrespect from the life that he lived.
What did you think when you saw the vandalism of the statue most recently?
Compared to this most recent incident, it's almost a blessing in disguise that at least we were able to take the fall and learn from it and kind of just grow and move on and become adults after it, whereas we don't have that clarity with this situation, that closure to see if, like, luckily with our case scenario, we had no ill intentions from the get, but, you know, it's understandable that it was misconceived. But with the new situation, it's a lot more questions, and with all those questions, I think the one thing that we can just decide on is that Frederick doesn't deserve to be disrespected any more than 200 years after his death, especially after what we did. So, you know, seeing it happen was, or at least hearing about it, you know, was not something that was settling news.
An important note here, Bodeker was hesitant to interview with me or let people know he's going to be helping to install the new statue because he didn't want this to be about him. Supporting that claim, I was told about this by someone close to the Douglass Statue Project. And when that new installation does happen, we'll be there and we'll report on it.